And another season of the NBA on ESPN is underway.
Let's go!
Deep three. Tyler Hero. Oh, he hit it.
We have a liftoff.
Leonard.
What are you doing, Tio?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'm concerned.
Okay. Welcome into Hoop Streams. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app. I'm Christine Williamson. Got the moves, and my friends can kind of dance too. Gary Striewski, Treavor Scales, what up?
First of all,
Two-step only.
if what you were doing is dancing, then we can more than just kind of dance. I don't know what that was, but I liked it.
I think mine was a little bit better than yours. I'm not going to lie, Gary. We got Ros Gold-Onwude coming later in the show. Omar Raja is joining us later to talk about some fan antics. But before all that, we got to get into that Clippers-Nets game.
It was popping.
It was a lot of fun. Plenty of scoring to be had, as is per the case of the Nets whenever they play. Like, you just expect the score. Just take the over, right? For those that are degenerates, like a couple of my friends out there.
On the flip side of that, everybody's like, all right, this is the Nets' big three coming into their own. This is the formidable force that will go through the East. I was actually more impressed with what the Clippers were able to do. They only lost by 4 points, and it was Kawhi and Paul George and Nicholas Batum.
Yes.
So if that was the big three in this particular instance against James Harden, who had a triple-double, I was actually optimistic about the Clippers' chances going down the stretch.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned. Like, first of all, we used to roast Nicholas Batum for stealing money from the league, but shout out to him for actually coming through for the Clips.
Had a comp 21.
I think late game, Steve Nash showed up and showed like why he's going to be an asset coaching wise. He was the one who directed Jeff Green to beat this outlet pass, gets the puts the game on ice, and look, Brooklyn gets another impressive win.
It's beautiful. Here's my question. Do the Nets actually need, I think they're like number 25 in defense right now in the league. Do they actually need to play defense?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do, because there's never been an NBA champion that's been less than, lower than 11th, I believe is the number. But like, you cannot win in this league without playing at least some semblance of defense.
And by semblance of defense, yeah, I got 5 guys out there, and they're going to be there when the other team makes the ball to get the ball back in bounds. But like, they're putting up a calm 124, and in any given night, any one of those 3 guys can drop a 40-piece. Kyrie had 39 of them. But at any rate, is it sustainable scoring-wise? Yes, but like, will they be able to get figured out and people, body them in the paint, things like that? Also, yes.
I don't know, though. Like, right, like, what if they don't all go for 30? Like, that has happened. The Houston Rockets missed like 27 threes in a row. Like, this is a thing that can happen. So I would just be concerned that if you cannot stop a soul, you better be able to put up a buck 40 every night.
I mean, defense does win championships, but if there is any team that can win a championship without playing defense, I feel like it's this team. But I do want to ask you about Paul George. He had 1 free throw last night. I think Kawhi had 9. Do you feel like he was mad about it after the game? Did you feel like that was warranted?
Sure, disparities in free throws are just like, they're subjective. Some nights you get the call, sometimes you don't.
Also, you just got to be like upper echelon class of elite to expect a certain quota of free throw any given night. Be like, nah, I didn't get my 4. I'm a Paul George type player calls. I'm a little upset. So yeah, I guess in that regard.
1 free throw. Put some respect on the man's name.
See, look, you subscribe to that theory.
All right, let's just put some respect on Pete. I mean, I know he had his issues, but put some respect. All right. So let's go into some of the best things that we've seen in the NBA this week. Let's talk about best record-breaking moment. Fred VanVleet is a bucket.
Yes.
He set the Raptors franchise record with 54 points. Wow.
Yeah, and also tied for 7th best point performance by any player under 6'1". I am here for the sub-6-foot gang. We in here.
/ an undrafted player putting up north of 50. So, like, he checked a lot of boxes against the Magic. And good for him, too, because we've seen not even an immediate ascension. We've seen, like, season by season, him being more trusted, him being more of that primary scorer. So good on him.
And also more paid.
And, yeah, I was going to say, and he also got the baggeroni not too long ago as well.
Exactly.
So everything's coming up Fred VanVleet.
Sure, a G League success story, but also I love that after the game, he was like, no disrespect to the Magic, and then proceeded to tell them why exactly the Magic were
y'all were weak, and
why he was scoring on the Magic so much, but I love that. I love that so much. All right, so
fleek, if you will.
Next, let's talk about Drake, because Drake likes Fred VanVleet, and this is some of the stuff that he said about him.
I want everybody to just take in the fact that, like, Fred VanVleet's Turks and Caicos 10 is just on 10 million, and that boy's looking like Frederico. That's why I keep doing the salsa dance tonight. I don't know if you guys seen it. I don't know if they put me on TV yet, but that boy's looking like Frederico.
First of all, I don't know if I've been on TV. You daggone Drake. You know you've been on TV. Quit playing.
What does that mean? Federico.
And low key, like, you know you've made it when Drake knows who you are, and you know you've super extra made it when you get a shout out in a song. So Drake, what's good?
That's when you've made it, when
Yeah.
Drake knows who you are.
When
Okay.
Drake drops your name in a
barometer.
song?
It's a good barometer.
Okay, whatever. All right, let's talk about best hype man. This guy, Kyle Lowry, recognizes game.
Freddie, come to the net. Yo. That joy, he got money too. Hey, peep his watch he got on too. Look at the watch.
Hey, I know you know what watch it was.
I was about to say, Gary.
I know you know what watch it was.
We're not going to do that right now. Kyle Lowry, though, literally pointing at an AP, talking about, look at his watch. Bro, you got a mortgage on your wrist. What are you talking about? But I love this in every facet of, like, kind of the old head in this regard being Kyle Lowry, like the old grizzled vet kind of welcoming in that new guard, that young buck, who at first he may have been a little bit of apprehensive and a little pensive towards him, but then you know what? He earned his stripes and now he's my boy.
I also love DeMar DeRozan coming off the top ropes for Kyle Lowry. That was also fantastic.
Kyle Lowry, though, acting like he's not a millionaire. Chill out.
You love to see it. All right, let's go to worst fashion statement. And honestly, I would argue this isn't the worst.
Okay.
We've seen worse.
Christine got this in her closet, don't you?
I do have some pants like that. Maybe not that shawl, but this is Russell Westbrook walking into the game. I don't know.
What you mean you don't know?
He looks like he
think he
is
looks cool.
going to.
He looks cool. He looks cool.
He looked like a Jeepers Creepers stunt double.
Here's the thing about Russell Westbrook.
Scary as
Here's
hell.
the thing about Russell Westbrook. He does whatever the heck he wants to do, and I am not necessarily a fan of what he wears all the time, but I understand that what he's doing is what he's doing. I don't think anybody else can do it. And even though I wouldn't say, oh, he's like best dressed, I would say, wow, he's really pushing the limit.
Simply put, Russell Westbrook, every single time he walks into an arena, wears confidence. The clothing is just an accessory, in my opinion. Write that down. That was good. I'm done talking.
That was a good
That was
bar.
pretty good.
Basically what I was
That
saying.
was a
good.
good
100%.
bar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will not
That
deny
makes
that.
sense.
You want me to say it on camera? Russell Westbrook wears confidence into the arena. The clothing is simply an accessory. There, now my face is associated to that tagline. Boom.
Hey, yeah, so to the production team, Gary clearly wants that clipped off and sent out. to
Congrats,
Twitter.
Gary.
I appreciate
Hey,
that.
great job on that. Meanwhile, we're going to discuss all of that, just attention seeking, just like the attention seeking that went down at the Hawks game from courtside Garrett. And LeBron had his opinion on the afterwards.
I'm happy fans are back in the building. I miss that interaction. I need that interaction. There was a back and forth between two grown men, and then when someone else jumped into it and said their piece. Fans in the stands is just better. It's better for everybody.
All right, we now welcome in our friend Omar Raja. I like to call him Omeezy because he makes it look easy. What up, Omar? We're gonna get some fan perspective on this because, you are low-key a LeBron fan. I'm actually curious what you thought about what happened in the Lakers versus Hawks game. So this woman, her name is Juliana Carlos Chris, and her husband's name is Chris Carlos. She got into this little altercation with LeBron. What was going through your mind when you saw this?
It gave me a lot of flashbacks of those early Heat days because everybody hated LeBron then and everyone was going after him, and it felt like every single Heat game then was like some fan trying to get into it with LeBron and saying something wild. So, what was funny about Twitter was Twitter doing their research right after the fact on who she was. It reminded me of like when that Miami Heat fan gave Joakim Noah the bird. And I remember immediately Heat fans and NBA world were doing research on her. So my first reaction was just flashbacks to those Miami days.
Okay, so speaking of that, because this whole situation made us think of other times that fans interacted with players, and it was a huge deal, went crazy on social, like you said. So, Miami Heat fan versus Joakim Noah. The thing that was so crazy about this is the cameras didn't actually follow. Joakim Noah and Taj Gibson got ejected, and it didn't follow them into the tunnel. However, then the photos that emerged after caught this woman flicking them off.
Listen, everyone was doing their research right after. And listen, I'm a proud Miami Heat fan. We didn't like the Bulls, especially Joakim Noah, who talked a lot of trash. But this is the one time I'll be like, we went too far. But Miami fans were so hated that they were like vouching for her. And I'm like, no, this is not going to be the one where I'm going to be defending us Heat fans. So, yes, the same thing happened. I think her and maybe her husband or her boyfriend, whoever it was, everyone was looking up their details. They found out where they lived. It was insane.
It's actually a kind of crazy story. So if you're watching this, I'm not going to tell you all the details, but just look up Philomena Tobias and you can see the whole story. All right, let's talk about another Heat game. Purple Shirt Man versus Dwayne Wade. This was game 6 of the Hornets Heat first round series in 2016. This guy kept jawing at Dwayne Wade like the whole entire game. It was insane.
So I got to talk with D-Wade a couple years ago, and I asked him about this incident, and he blames Purple Shirt Man for the Hornets losing that series. The Hornets were up 3-2. He was calling D-Wade washed. He was saying all of this nonsense. And so for especially at the end of the game, it was personal for D-Wade. At the end of one of the games, he hits like a clutch shot, and the first thing he does is turn around and yell at Purple Shirt Man. So he still, like years later, wanted nothing to do with Purple Shirt Man. I asked him, like, what would happen if he saw him. He said, I'd walk right by him. I wouldn't talk to him. I wouldn't show him any respect.
So the guy actually is kind of notorious for that. He almost got ejected for going at it with KD in a game too. So it's like his thing. And I also am wondering where he got that backpack from, because that's like the backpack that you got at like camp when you were a child. So I was really curious when I saw that.
So he was promoting his company.
Oh,
that's what people were
so he was
figuring
giving
out.
them. He was most likely giving those backpacks out to kids. All right, so let's talk about Old Man Sixer versus Kyle Lowry. Raptors versus Philly 2019, Game 4 of the playoffs. This old dude had some strong opinions for Kyle Lowry.
Look at the Sixers fans sitting courtside just laughing. I would love to know what was said. I mean, look, you see right there? I mean, they're all kind of like, what is happening? But I guess it's typical Philly fans. Like, there's nothing more you can expect from them. Like, Miami fans, there was that one incident, but we're not really known to be that wild. Philly fans, they're known to be wild.
A little crazier. And actually, I looked at the tweet of this incident, and somebody was like, look him up, pal. He's not some random old dude at every game. Every Sixers fan knows him. So apparently he's a big deal in Philly.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
All right, let's stay with the 76ers fans. This one decided to flip Russell Westbrook the bird. There's a lot of bird flipping. This is in 2016. In the first quarter, the game didn't even get that juicy, and this guy just went crazy.
Well, I think my reaction is Russell Westbrook has the best reaction to the incident. I mean, I can't believe that this happened. But I've never seen Russ so calm with like a fan interaction where a fan just going crazy. He's just like, look at this guy. Like, look at what is happening here.
I feel like, that makes sense. I feel like that's totally something that Russell Westbrook would do. Just be like, who even are you? All right, so we got to get to your guy. It's your favorite person in the whole entire world, Drake. Let's just talk about Drake in general. Heckling players. He does it all the time.
Drop an album already. Drake is the best fan. People don't like when I say he's Spike Lee, but guess what? He's the modern day Spike Lee. I know Spike Lee's still alive and well, but you get what I'm saying. He's at every game. He has caused 5-second violations right here against the Bulls rookie. You could tell he was intimidated. He couldn't believe Drake was talking to him. Drake makes the Raptors better. Other than that one time they played the Warriors and KD said, I don't care about no Drake night. But other than that, Drake has played a role in some Raptors wins, okay?
I mean, I can't really deny it. I guess I don't know. Drake, maybe he does. But...
I mean, we don't know, but the Raptors play. Danny Green seems to like Drake. So, you know, if he was costing them games, I imagine they wouldn't like Drake that much.
At one point, he was a curse, but maybe he's not anymore. Well, thanks so much, Omeezy, for joining us today on Hoop Streams.
Take care.
All right, so we come from the man who has the pulse on all things social to the element of the All-Star Weekend that has social media to do with. Gary and Di taking over the All-Star starters role to kind of speak for on behalf of the fans, if you will.
And you know what? We actually have a big responsibility because fans make up 50% of the eventual outcome. I haven't felt this strong since one time I accidentally cycled on some stuff I wasn't supposed to back in my college days. We don't even talk about that trend.
we gonna keep it moving. We gonna keep it moving. So your starters for the All-Star game, we're starting in the East, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory when it comes to the front court in particular. We'll go ahead and slide the reigning MVP into this thing in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and no questions there.
Of course. I mean, obviously it is going to be a popularity contest. He wins there, but the numbers speak for themselves.
Yep.
Reigning MVP to the front runner in the current conversation.
I like that.
Let's go with JoJo. I mean, that's already a formidable duo in that front court.
And a couple years removed from the MVP conversation, courtesy of an Achilles injury, but has come back stronger than ever, right? It just feels odd to watch him on a team that has plenty of offensive firepower, but he still stands out among them as Kevin Durant. Like, that is unbelievable.
Which is ironic that we had Omar, because he posted earlier on one of the ESPN social channels that KD's numbers right now reflect his MVP campaign from a handful of seasons ago. So if there were any justifiable reason to be like, no. If he won the MVP based off of these numbers, why isn't he also in the conversation? Because he's basically having a mirror image season. And what I would argue is a more difficult circumstance because he has to share the ball with two perennial All-Stars again.
First of all, he shouldn't be sharing, right? Like, if he gets anything less than 20 shots a game, you go talk to the other two and say, hey, look, I understand what y'all bring to the table, and I appreciate it. Make sure that brother gets 20 shots a night. Let's just make that abundantly clear off.
And I think we did see that in the win against the Clippers. Okay, so that being said, front court is set.
Yep.
Can we agree on the man who we need to put in the All-Star game for every sake that I can muster up in words? Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal. Free Beal, hashtag free Beal. Get him out of there, even though he don't want to be. But yes, he is absolutely in the backcourt to start things up.
This is the only really, silver lining that's going to come out of this season for Bradley Beal. He leads the league in scoring. He got absolutely snubbed last year. His wife was mad. He was mad. Everybody was mad. Like, what were you watching that Bradley Beal wasn't an All-Star last year? So he damn sure better be a starter this season. I'm pretty sure they're going to make that happen.
He just always suffers from being on such a terrible team in the Washington Wizards, right? Like, that's part of the free Beal campaign, but it's also just the level of productivity that he brings. Right? That's just the embodiment of what Bradley Beal is going through in the nation's capital. It's very difficult for that brother down there, and I hope things turn around for him. Now,
man is going through
my pick for the other guard in this is Kevin Durant's running mate in Kyrie Irving. And I understand, like, he missed quite a few games courtesy of the personal hiatus. But this brother's productivity has not dropped off one bit. Like, he came back in and is averaging 30 after he got his mind right.
The performance has obviously ticked up, and because we know this is going to be a popularity contest, a lot of people love Kyrie Irving.
Yes.
And let alone he's the best point guard if you've ever seen him in person. He keeps the ball on a string. He's absolutely ridiculous, but we would be remiss not to mention Jaylen Brown, who's doing everything for the Celtics. And when I say everything for the Celtics, not just offensively, even in Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker's absence offensively, he's shooting over 50% from the field, but he's also holding things down. He's a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the ball. So I think, to a man, if you ask him, he is the most complete player in this position, and he deserves a starting nod in the All-Star game.
Yeah, and that's why I gave
you put him in there.
I already got you, bro. So let's go ahead and move to the West. Why not, right?
Perfect.
Like, I know there's a little bit more of a nuanced discussion to be had, particularly in the front court, right? Like, I know we had that little bit of a back and forth regarding Jaylen Brown and his potential candidacy, but I think it gets a little bit messier when it comes to the guard play in the West. Now, let me tell it. Well, okay, let's go with what we know we agree with. Damian Lillard, lock.
Okay.
Damian Lillard in there.
He's a lock.
Yes.
For sure. I'm going with Luka the Don.
Okay.
Listen, because, and here's my reason, and I know the person you're going to go with is in the same situation as far as the team. He's carrying the team night in and night out. Luka, remember, he was in the conversation last year for a long period of the season as being an MVP frontrunner, and really he's the only bright spot that's come out of the Mavericks team, which is right now sitting in, 10th, 11th place? I mean,
not great.
They're damn near in the bottom of the Western Conference currently, and I think in a 7-game slide, but it ain't Luka's fault.
No, it's not.
It's everybody else.
But I will say, like, he has been not great from three this year. And it's really bad, the amount of threes that he's taking and the percentage clip that he's shooting them at. So we got to find a way to find the efficiency in his game and kind of uptick
He
that.
has to shoot in mass.
You're not wrong about that whatsoever.
Speaking
so
of shooting in mass.
Look, my pick for that position actually was Steph Curry, right? Like, I think that a career high of 62 one night, and we see like just flurries of scoring. And I understand it goes a little bit of an up and down scale. It's mercurial, if you will. But he is there offensively as the sole provider at times
and this
for
is
that Golden State
what
team.
It's going to end up being as far as your backcourt starters in the Western Conference. And I think it's pretty easy for the front court as well.
Yeah, no, we'll start with the easiest pick of them all.
No.
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
Just go ahead and slide that in.
Absolute
right?
shocker. Joining him in the front court, the league leader in assists.
You just took LeBron out, bro.
I didn't mean to take LeBron out. No disrespect to the king. Don't call me courtside Karen. No disrespect. I don't want beef with the king.
But yeah,
who else we going with?
We got Joker in there, and then I did the same thing. I meant to disrespect Nikola. Now, I did that intentionally. But no, in all seriousness, Kawhi having a career year, the load management concept of him sitting out games that mean a lot to his team, that has essentially gone away. This man has been available to that roster in a big way, and he's just doing his thing with the opportunities that he's getting.
Not going to happen in a cold day in Hades, but a dark horse pick. Christian Wood holding things down in Houston. He said he wanted to be the face of the franchise, and he's playing right now like a face of a franchise. I love what he's doing.
Bet that. I'm campaigning for Trae Young. Myles Turner, by the way. Let's get a little bit more on him.
I make a huge difference.
Experience is won by Myles. He is terrific.
We're going to go out there and play each and every night.
I've seen a lot of games this season where you had single digits, scoring points, but, man, you've just been able to impact the game. Like, how have you learned to accept that role as well? Like, I don't have to go out and score 20, 30.
You can't always control if you can make or miss, baskets. You can always control how you play defense and playing hard. And that's one thing I've always brought to the game and what my approach is.
Was there any particular players that you might have studied as well from or got any advice from?
There's quite a few, man. Just Chris Bosh, one person I've watched a lot. I mean, in the Dallas area, just watching guys. Kevin Garnett, just his intensity on defense was just something else, man.
Y'all bring in a brand new coach. You said he trusts you as the defensive anchor of the team. How does that feel? And did he challenge you anything specifically once he came in?
Yeah, definitely challenged me. I think that one of the biggest criticisms about me is my rebounding. He's challenged me to go out there and get 10 rebounds a game this year. Go out there and block 5 shots a game this year. That's like his mentality with everything. Just real positive, upbeat. So to have someone behind me like that as well, it's just nothing motivating for me, nothing energizing for me.
You guys have been in the playoffs time after time, brought in a new coach, got front office members who are very committed to winning, trading for Karis LeVert. I mean, just like how much is that as well something for you is driving you to get out of that first round to show? You think that'll help as well as far as like kind of taking off that mystique a little bit of the Midwest and kind of taking Indiana more seriously in the East?
Definitely. Well, it goes beyond the first round, man. I know, that's where we've been stuck, but we got to have, larger aspirations than that. We got to have championship aspirations. And we talk about that on the daily. Like, we have to believe that can actually happen. I think that's where my mindset is. Championship and nothing else.
Ripped away by Turner. Picked it up. Blocked by Turner.
Wow, what a quick reaction.
Maybe 15 years, 20 years, maybe my numbers up there next in career.
Too strong to be contained. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Keep playing with each other. Come on, let's go.
And here come the Bucks.
Holiday.
Got it to go.
Life after Oladipo for the Pacers.
People are not talking about them, but they're going to be an exciting team to watch in the East.
Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis just having an unbelievable all-star type year.
Brogdon lighting it up. Sabonis. Score the foul!
We have a lot of weapons. We're a really good team.
Obviously want to be at the end, the last team standing. You got to work for it. You got to hurt to get it.
Oh, yeah, this is a whole bop. We got the Bucks versus the Pacers at 7 p.m. on ESPN, and we brought our good sis, Ros Gold-Onwude, to talk about this matchup. Let's start on the Bucks side. Obviously, they're usually in a class of their own when it comes to the Eastern Conference. Right now, we got the Brooklyn Nets doing their thing, the 76ers doing their thing, the Celtics somewhere in the mix. Where do you feel like the Bucks stack up?
Christine, the Bucks have their hands full because the Eastern Conference on a whole has improved due to an influx of talent and also the growth of young players returning to the conference. You know, that Nets-Clippers game we were all watching last night, we knew the Nets could score the ball, but they showed that when they're locked in, they could defend at a high level, and they beat up against a very elite, in the groove, contending Clippers team in a playoff-type atmosphere. They showed up and held on to win the game. 76ers got an MVP candidate in Joel Embiid, but I'm mostly impressed with that, but I'm also further impressed with Tobias Harris's improvement and comfort. Ben Simmons looking comfortable in his own skin, regardless of what others say he has to do. And then you have one of the most young and dynamic duos in the league, and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum glowing up before our eyes. I think it's going to be a dogfight coming out of the East, and I'm here for it.
In order for Milwaukee to come out of the East, a lot of that burden rests on the god-like shoulders of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, those shoulders haven't been working too well at the free throw line, unfortunately, shooting a current career worst 59%. How does that end up affecting Milwaukee down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, first of all, from just a macro level trend-wise for Giannis, I mean, this has been happening over the course of 5 seasons now. Every year in the last 5 years, he's been decreasing his percentage from the free throw line. That's a terrible trend. Then you look on a smaller level into this season, and you've got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who takes a lot of free throws. So it's worrisome that he's not connecting. He's number 3 in the league for free throw attempts. He's getting there about 10 times a game, and you must make teams pay, or else they won't defend you honestly, and you risk becoming a liability on the court in times where they could use them. And then, of course, in the playoffs, you know, this is when the Bucks have struggled, and playoffs often come down to single possessions, execution, free throws. And you want Giannis at this point to be finding a rhythm and some confidence around the free throw line versus in the playoffs when the pressure starts to beat down on you.
It's not going to get any easier when he's hanging around in the paint, and that's because Indiana fans watching right now being like, all right, get on with it. Talk about the Pacers. We're about to right now. Ros, every team has their variation of the big three. Obviously, in Indiana, it's Sabonis, Brogdon, and Myles Turner, but not for anything he's doing offensively. This Joker is leading the league in blocks per game, and he's doing it all with a fractured freaking right hand. He's like the defensive player of the year in a runaway so far, correct?
I think he absolutely needs to be at the top of lists, definitely 100% as a candidate. And this is someone in Myles Turner who wants all the DPOY smoke. You know, this is someone who actually said, I've led the league in blocks and still didn't make an all-defensive team. This has happened to him 2 years ago where he led the league in blocks. And you know how Michael Jordan was like in the meme, and I took that personally? I think that happened for Myles. You know, like this offseason, he worked on strengthening his hips, his lower body, his glutes, his core. Reason why, to increase his stability and strength, his explosiveness, and his ability to defend out of the pick and roll, not only against bigs, but also against perimeter players. He watched video of Kevin Garnett, Chris Bosh on the defensive end for that type of inspiration. He should absolutely be a defensive player of the year candidate. And he wants to be a catalyst for this team, and he wants the recognition.
So G-Money mentioned it. There's a makings of a big three in Indiana with the Pacers. But, I mean, they're still in a very competitive East now. How far do you think they can go?
I think this Pacers team, we're going to know a lot more about them in the second half of the season. Christine, don't forget that this is a team with a new head coach, Nate Bjorkgren. That comes with learning a new system, a new language, kind of gelling and meshing. They lost T.J. Warren to injury. This is someone who was breaking out in the bubble. You traded Victor Oladipo. You were hoping to get Karis LeVert back, but obviously, you know, he's out indefinitely, still recovering from the kidney surgery. So that's a lot. That's valid. But in the midst of that, though, you know, Malcolm Brogdon has increased his scoring without decreasing his assist making. So that's key. He's creating for himself and others. Sabonis, that's part of that big three, having another all-star caliber season. Myles Turner, I mentioned his defense, but he also looks more comfortable on offense. And I'll give you an X factor. I think with the kind of gap on the perimeter from scoring that we mentioned earlier, I think this is a chance maybe for Jeremy Lamb coming off of that knee, perhaps to be an X factor here. But we'll know a lot more about the Pacers in the second half of the season. They have a lot of potential.
So that's an X factor in the season. What's the X factor tonight? Who do you have, Bucks or Pacers?
Well, I got the Bucks, but I do think my eyes are going to be inside. First of all the talk about Myles Turner, can he be a Defensive Player of the Year? And he said, I want that award. Well, you're going up against the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Giannis. Not to mention Sabonis is doing work inside as well. I'll be looking in the paint this game to see what's happening.
Oh, we'll see what happens, and we will see you next time on Hoop Strings. Thanks for joining us, Ros.
All right, thanks guys for having me.
All right, we got Bucks versus the Pacers literally right now. If you're watching in the app, go on and authenticate. You can watch the game in the app. I guess that's all we got. For Treavor Scales, for Gary Striewski, I'm Christine Williamson. Thanks for watching Hoop Stream. See you next week.
No, Bucks are.
Pacers are going to win.
I take them both. Everybody's a winner.